On today's edition of Cronkite Sports Live, there is a new man on the block in Tempe as Jeff Sims led Sun Devil football to a miraculous victory over Iowa State. But now they have the week off. We have everything you need to know coming out of the bye week.
Both ASU men's and women's hoops are back in the swing of things. Year 11 at the helm for Bobby Hurley and his squad with 14 newcomers. Then year 1 at the helm for Molly Miller and her new look squad as well. We'll have a team of insiders to break it all down.
In the case of Sun Devil hockey, the temperature has dropped in Tempe. What does Greg Powers need to do to change the momentum for Sun Devil hockey? All that and so much more as Cronkite Sports Live starts right now. It's finally November, the weather temperature is finally coming down, and there are so much athletics to go about here in Tempe as we welcome you back to downtown Phoenix here in Studio 6 for another edition of Cronkite Sports Live. My name is Max Cepeda, and this to my left is the Sacramento native, the one and only Jacob Brooks. Jacob, I know it's the bye week. I know we should be resting. I'm trying to get back from all the chili that I experienced in Ames, which we experienced in Salt Lake City, mind you. But at the same time, bye week, trying to rest up, but so much other sports going on in Tempe.
I know, Zippy. This is one of my favorite athletic times of the year. Professional and college football ramping up. Winter sports like basketball on both sides getting into the swing of things. It's a really exciting time.
Certainly is, but we have to get back to what was an incredible game on Saturday afternoon in Ames last week. Truly incredible on multiple different fronts, but more importantly, a whole lot of storylines, of course. Sam Levitt out for the season. Jordan Tyson obviously out for the second straight game. So many people needing to step up, and they did, starting, of course, with Jeff Sims. He takes it in here late in the first quarter, trying to at least build some momentum, make ASU at least in front, but this touchdown is called back on a holding by Maxi Honachor at right tackle. Kenny Dillingham, reasonably so, losing his mind, as he always does, and as we head to the second quarter on a Jesus Gomez field goal tied at 3. However, it's 10-3 Iowa State, and Jeff Sims takes it in for his first of multiple rushing touchdowns throughout the day. And here it is again, now showing it with the air talent as he finds Shamad Mateer in the back of the end zone. Sun Devils would now lead 17-10 with just a little over 5 minutes to go in the half. But what's this? A botch PAT as Kyle Canardi tries to kick it off the ground, and it's 17-16 Devils after the break. But in the second half, my goodness, it became the Jeff Sims show. 88 yards to glory. With this run, he broke the single-game rushing record for a quarterback in Arizona State history. 228 yards on the ground in total was his final day. His jersey not even resembling the color white anymore as we head to the fourth. 24-19 is the score, but look at all these defensive playmakers. Keith Abney, again, a stellar season for him with a pass breakup there, and Rocco Beck trying to extend the play. Only finds another man in a different uniform, and that is Jordan Crook, his first turnover of the season. But Iowa State continue to have opportunities late in the fourth, just not able to capitalize. Sun Devil defense coming up big, and they would hold on to the 24-19 victory. Sims, of course, with this iconic shot, hugging his family members. Here is Kenny Dillingham on why he believes it was necessary for his team to take a break right now.
Yeah, never done that, never been around somebody that does it. It's been an emotional season, physically, mentally. These guys need to get away, and they need to come back ready for a 3-game stretch where we can accomplish anything we want to accomplish. So I want these guys to get away. Like I said, this is not just physical. We're banged up. The emotions of this season have been strong. They've been high. So we got to get these guys away, the coaches away. That way when we practice, we can be physical, we can be violent, we can be intentful, but yeah, we're going to take the entire week off.
As it turns out, Unk still got it. When star quarterback Sam Levitt got ruled out for the season due to a Lisfranc injury, many Sun Devil fans thought all hope was lost. That was until sixth-year senior Jeff Sims reignited the flame last week at Iowa State with 405 total yards. For more on his record-breaking performance and his journey to get there, here's our Tyler Weiss.
It was Halloween when ASU head coach Kenny Dillingham delivered news that sent chills through Sun Devil fans across the valley. ASU starting quarterback Sam Levitt was set to undergo season-ending surgery. Earlier in the week, it was made known that redshirt senior Jeff Sims would be starting for ASU in a Big 12 conference title game rematch against the Iowa State Cyclones. For Sims, it was his third game starting for the Sun Devils. but it was far from his first ever start. In fact, his first start was for Georgia Tech on September 12, 2020. The Yellow Jackets' opponent was their ACC foe, the Florida State Seminoles. On FSU's sideline was none other than Kenny Dillingham himself, who at the time was Florida State's offensive coordinator. Sims picked up 341 yards en route to a narrow 16-13 victory over Florida State. Fast forward to 2024. Sims and Dillingham were back on the same field, this time as fellow Sun Devils. Penciled in at QB2, Sims opted to stay in the Valley for another season, where despite being on the sideline, he made sure to be ready for any opportunity that came his way. And last Saturday, he rose to the occasion. A dual threat, Sims rushed for 228 yards against the Cyclones, breaking former ASU quarterback Mark Malone's record of 139 set in 1978.
He's everything that's right with college football. Such a great person. To stay here for his teammates and to be able to get that opportunity and to win that game, I mean, that's such a cool thing for him. I'll remember that forever.
With the record-setting day, Sims wrote another chapter in his college football story that has stretched across 6 seasons. As for this current season, Sun Devil fans were given renewed reason for hope as they watched ASU leave Jack Trice Stadium with a 24-19 victory. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Tyler Weiss.
Thanks so much, Tyler. And if you're a Sun Devil fan, you probably look at the 2024 season with immense glee, joy, and memories that will last your entire lifetime. But for senior safety Miles Rouser, known to many simply by his nickname Ghost, it was a much more difficult year, to say the least, as his stepbrother, Andre Selden Jr., who was his teammate in his early collegiate years and in high school in his hometown of Detroit, passed away at the age of 22. Rouser's mother, Autumn, has aided her son in coping with the tragedy, and our football reporter and fellow native of the Motor City, Dominic Pasella, learned how they are both still honoring his memory today.
Like the big brother I always wanted, for real, like just having him as a role model and as a big brother, it was just, he set the standard for me and who I am as a person today.
Miles actually transferred from Campbell to play with him at New Mexico State. That was a driving factor. His brother was there, he wanted to play with him again. Them two playing together on the same field was like a 1-2 punch.
You kind of know, like, all right, he the left or right corner, I know that's straight. Like, he gonna lock him up.
Andre transferred from TCU to Utah State. The first week that he got there, there was a tragic accident involving swimming, and he drowned, and that was last year in July.
More so shocked and surprised, just like the person he was and what he did and how he was a role model for me. I never thought he would be gone.
You still have to grieve. You still have to process everything. And so I remember having a conversation with him, and it was like, I'm gonna dedicate my season to him. I'm gonna make sure I leave everything out there on the field for him.
I feel like whoever met him feel like they had to change for the better. And that's honestly what the foundation is for.
When he was on that field, his goal was that there's not gonna be any completions on him. And that's the name of the foundation, no completions.
All my life is really gonna be dedicated to Jay.
With football on the bye, ASU basketball, both men's and women's, are back in Tempe. The Sun Devil men's team had their season opener Tuesday night against Southern Utah. Bobby Hurley entering year 11 with 14 newcomers. One of those newcomers, Andrea Gerbovich, got the first points of the season for ASU there. Then on the defensive end, Alan Mukeba, the high-flying denial. Then some high-flying on the offensive end for Masamba Jop. Throws it down just before the halftime break. Into the second half we go. Here's Jop again. Great ball movement there from the Sun Devils. That was on display with their newfound chemistry all night. And on display again here. Anthony Pig Johnson lobs it up to Mukeba on the offensive end. But these big fellas, they can dish the rock too. Look at Jop there with the give and go with Gerbovich. ASU gets the win, 81-64.
And Brooks, we're keeping the pedal on the gas because we have to go 24 hours prior for the debut of the Molly Miller era on Monday night as they took on the Eagles of Coppin State. 9 new transfer players on the women's side for ASU, including Eloisa Carrera, who is able to get the bucket on the and one. ASU struggled to find its footing offensively. Molly Miller showing that energy in the huddle in the first half. But in the second half, that's where things really got going on both sides of the ball for the Maroon and Gold. Last tier Poa able to capitalize on the drive and hand things off to Gabby Elliott for the jumper. And then with about 7:30 left in the fourth, Marley Washinitz. Watch her playmaking skills throughout this season for ASU. She could become a huge playmaker for them. Carrera able to capitalize as well on a steal. And then this McKenna Bracken's block in the open court, able to make a capitalizing play there. And Bracken's able to lay it in on the other end of the floor. 67-53 would be the final on Monday night. Here's both Coach Hurley and Miller and their responses after game one.
Felt like I could coach with a free mind, and it was if I wanted to sub someone out, I wasn't worried about the fallout. This group, they accepted it. At times I took 4 guys out at one time because we didn't get back on defense two straight times in the second half. And the next 4 guys came in, good attitude. When I went back to those other guys, they were fine. So, that is good from my standpoint.
Well, I knew we would take a little while to knock off the rust and calm the jitters. I didn't know it was going to take 3 quarters, but we scored 29 in the first half and we scored 27 in the fourth quarter. So I'd like a little bit more of those fourth quarter runs, but our defense kept us in it for 3 quarters. Playing from behind going into the fourth quarter, I think that's a testament to our team and our perseverance and leadership we have. It's just a great way to be tested, but also come out with a victory.
Now, starting on the men's side, so much of Bobby Hurley's roster is fresh and completely new to the hardwood experience in Tempe, as 2025 marks the 3rd consecutive year where the Sun Devils have added at least 11 or more new scholarship players to the roster. And while all of that movement may have caused fans of the Maroon and Gold a headache in recent years, there is one key difference that makes this year's new cast of characters different from the ones in the past, that being their origins lie far away from the Valley of the Sun. Maurice Goodall has the story.
New players, the Arizona State men's basketball team is full of players from different backgrounds. Of the 14 new players brought in by head coach Bobby Hurley, only 7 are from the United States, while the other 7 joined from abroad. The 7 international players enter ASU with varying experience and home nations, of course, but 6 of the 7 are taller than 6'8". This brings much needed size to the Sun Devils, something they lacked last season. Redshirt sophomore forward Santiago Truitt looks to bring his Argentinian flair to the Sun Devils. He's a transfer from San Diego and he brings his height at 6'11", but also a threat to the perimeter. However, Truitt struggled from 3 to open the season, missing all 4 of his attempts against Southern Utah. Freshman center Massamba Diop joins from Senegal. He towers over defenders with his 7'1" tall frame, but looks to be a piece that Hurley will need to take time and develop to reach his full potential. Joining from Belgium is forward Alan Makeba, a transfer from Oakland. Makeba stands at only 6'8", but is a force defensively in his 5th year of college basketball. In the opening game against Southern Utah, Makeba finished with 4 blocks on the night. Belgian guard Noah Meyusin is the only international recruit standing under 6'8", with his 6'5" tall frame expected to provide depth as a combo guard, but he missed the opening game of the season to injury. Italian center Dom Salon stands at 7'1", and he seems to be a project build for the Sun Devils team, but showed flashes of his potential in his time overseas. Serbian forward Jovani Satovic can also bring a perimeter threat, but like Salon, looks to be a project for the future. Montenegrin forward Andrea Gerbovic also looks to stretch the floor for ASU's offense, despite not hitting a 3 versus Southern Utah. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Reese Goodall.
When Molly Miller arrived in Tempe, she tipped off a massive roster overhaul, bringing in 8 new transfers. For more on Gabby Moore, Marley Washinitz, and last tier Poa, 3 of those transfers who made a huge impact in Monday's opening win for Sun Devil women's basketball. Here's our Brady Foxwell.
Last Monday, Molly Miller earned her first win in Maroon and Gold as her squad soundly defeated Coppin State by 14 thanks to a little help from the 8 new players she brought in from the transfer portal. ASU's entire starting 5 were all transfers, with 6 out of 8 receiving playing time. And while all of the new players will likely have big impacts this season, there's 3 specifically that are at the forefront. Game 1's leading scorer with 17 was senior Marley Washinitz from Pitt, a 2-way combo guard with tons of scoring upside. Last season with the Panthers, Washington's averaged 9-2-3 on 35% from the field in 29 minutes a game, but be on the lookout for Washington's behind the arc, as just the tiniest bit of separation allows for a signature left-handed 3-ball. Fifth-year guard Gabby Elliott also showed out, as the Penn State transfer went for 16 3-4 with an astounding 7 steals on the other end of the floor. At Penn State, Elliott led Nittany Lion guards in scoring with 13.6 points per game on 47% from the field. Simply put, Elliott can do it all, being a perfect fit for Molly Miller's scheme. Another key transfer for ASU is Lastir Poa, a playmaking guard from Louisiana State University. At LSU, Poa played behind star guards Flau'jae Johnson and Michaela Williams, making it hard for her to find minutes in Kim Mulkey's system. Still, she showed defensive brilliance when she forced multiple turnovers from Caitlin Clark in the 2023 National Championship. For ASU, Poa's 10 assists against Coppin State led the team by a wide margin, and she also brings championship experience to a team that otherwise has very little. As the season continues to unfold, fans should watch with excitement as these new additions learn to play together, and if everything goes according to Molly Miller's plan, ASU could very well be playing in March. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Brady Foxwell.
With both ASU basketball teams back in action and picking up wins this week, Molly Miller making her coaching debut and Bobby Hurley entering year 11 at the helm, we want to welcome in our WCSM basketball reporter Mia Bensich. Mia, let's start with the women's side. Molly Miller making her debut, picking up a W in her debut. How did game one go for the Sun Devils?
Yeah, so what stood out to me during this game was the energy from this team. They came out very strong and aggressive and high energy, fast paced, and this is definitely a result of what Molly Miller has done for the team. I mean, they also were very dominant defensively. They were able to get 36 rebounds for this game. And later on in the game, though the first 3 quarters were kind of up and down, they had those first game jitters, they were able to turn those rebounds into offensive opportunities, outscoring Coppin State 27-10 in the 4th quarter in that last stretch. So this is definitely a result of what Molly Miller's already doing for the team.
Well, Mia, a lot of Sun Devil fans had some anxious feelings about this Sun Devil men's basketball roster heading into the season with 14 newcomers. What can you say about how Bobby Hurley and company looked on night one?
Yeah, so definitely the men's team came out a lot more confident today. They're taking a step in the right direction. Even with the uncertainty of the new roster, they were able to make those connections, and it definitely showed on the court. And we got to see a lot of those new faces as there was consistent subbing. And with a lot of subbing means a lot of high energy on both sides of the court. We were able to see that they were very comfortable in the second half of where they were offensively and defensively. So it's definitely good, but we know that this team is known for starting off strong and then fading on later in the season. So let's just hope that they keep this momentum throughout the rest of the season.
So Mia, it kind of feels like the men's team and the women's team are on opposite timelines. You have Bobby Hurley entering year 11, Molly Miller kicking off year 1. What's the culture like surrounding both teams?
Yeah, Jacob, so these teams are on very different timelines, and they are different teams. They are on a very similar path right now. There's a lot of change going from on paper, as there's new rosters, a lot of international players for the men's team, as well as a new coach for the women's team. So on paper, there's a lot of changes going on. However, we're going to see that chemistry, that culture and connection through the teams in the long run. And that's something we're not going to see now, but we'll see in results or lack of results later on. So the potential is high for both these teams. So though it's early, we're ready to see how the rest of the season goes.
Well, Mia, we thank you for your time and for your insight. Both ASU men's and women's basketball will be back in action this weekend with both squads having home games at Desert Financial Arena.
It has been quite a while since Greg Powers' Sun Devils were last at Mullet Arena. But starting tonight, they return to host the Tigers of Colorado College. Now you're going to want to strap yourselves in because we have all hands on deck to catch you up on all things Sun Devil hockey. And we start with our reporter Easton Stockford, who's here with us in Studio 6 to discuss how ASU's play in the defensive zone has set them back in recent weeks.
Thanks, Max. ASU keeps getting caught in cruise control, conceding 4 unanswered goals after gaining the lead in 4 out of its 5 losses this season. So let's go frame by frame to see where they have been caught snoozing. Starting right here against Penn State, up 2-1 on the faceoff. Watch Richard Barron on the right side of your screen. That's his guy to the left of him, and he is caught lacking on the draw, creating a ton of space, and 1, 2, 3 Sun Devils caught watching the puck, leaving JJV Bush with all the room he wants to put it past Connor Hasley. Penn State scored 4 third-period goals, leading them to a 5-2 victory. Now, last week in Miami, Ohio, 3 yellow jerseys back to 1 Red Hawk. Need to find a way to get a stop with numbers. They seal him to the wall, but no puck support. And again, 3 Sun Devils caught watching the puck, leaving all the room you could ever want on the back doorstep for Maximilian Hegelson, who bangs it into the 6x4, starting the 4-goal comeback for the Red Hawks, who won the game 5-2. Now, the Sun Devils will host Colorado College this weekend, but they fell 5-4 to the Tigers after giving up a third period 4-1 lead last January. Another example of why ASU can't afford to doze off in the driver's seat, especially in a conference as strong as the NCHC. Max?
Thanks so much, Easton. And while the Devils will need to improve on the defensive end, another storyline that has surrounded not just ASU, but the entire sport has been the recent rule changes surrounding who is now eligible to play at the collegiate level. This includes Sun Devil forward Jack Beck, who was granted eligibility by the NCAA after playing 36 games at the ECHL level in Canada. And as we now bring in our very own Emily Stabolito. Emily, Jack Beck's debut highlights a broader shift in college hockey. So how do you believe players like Beck have affected not just hockey in Tempe, but across the nation as a whole?
Absolutely, Max. Jack Beck is a prime example of this new path that's opening for college-age talent. Historically, players have had to choose between the CHL and the NCAA. Now, it's no longer either or. Beck is one of just a few players with professional experience who is cleared to play in college. At the same time, hundreds of CHL players are enrolling too, partially due to the elite facilities and the lucrative financial opportunities. Now, you've got a deeper pool of talent across way more schools, giving mid-tier programs access to top-tier players. That redistribution of talent is creating real parity across college hockey, with more upsets and a heightened skill level overall.
The change seems to never stop, Emily. Thank you so much for that insight. But this next stretch of games for Sun Devil hockey could not only define where the program stands within the always loaded NCHC, but also nationally. And our Colgan Herschel has a closer look at the daunting road ahead for Greg Powers' squad.
The start of the season for Arizona State hockey has been challenging, and it's only going to get harder. Starting this week with number 20 Colorado College, ASU's next 5 opponents are all top 20 teams in the latest USCHO poll. Next week, ASU travels to Grand Forks to take on number 8 North Dakota, which just took 4 of 6 possible points in a top 10 matchup against Minnesota Duluth, who ASU will face in December. As for what this means for the Sun Devils, they're allowing 3.75 goals a game, which ranks 50th in the country, and will need to come down with the upcoming gauntlet. Minnesota Duluth is one of the strongest offenses ahead. Led by the Plant brothers, the Bulldogs feature 3 of the nation's top 5 point scorers. The Devils' 20.4% power play can also improve for head coach Greg Powers, as he said the man advantage needs to start winning them games, as his team is just 1 for 15 on third-period power plays in losses. ASU did score 3 power play goals in Oxford last weekend, but every team in this upcoming gauntlet has one of the nation's top-ranked penalty kills, including number 9 Denver, ranked 3rd in the NCAA. Contributions from every point in the lineup are needed in order to come away with wins over the next 6 weeks. Safe to say Greg Powers and the Devils have their work cut out. Max?
From hockey to volleyball, let's check in with the number 8 ranked Sun Devils as they took on the Texas Tech Red Raiders in Tempe. Off to the first set we go. Bryn Covell with the serve, and folks, this would turn into a lengthy back and forth rally. But I want you to keep your eye on Kaya Presley at the top of the screen. Red Raiders trying to get something going. Here comes Presley. Boom, 1 block. She's not done yet though. Ready? Boom, 2 blocks from Presley. Red Raiders get it over. ASU looking for the kill at set point. Presley again. 3 big booms for Kaya Presley. We go on to the second set. Sierra Grizzle for the Red Raiders serving it off. ASU at set point once again. Texas Tech kind of entering desperation mode here, in need of something, but Noemi Glover closes the door on that. Off to the third set we go. Set point, match point. The fans are on their feet at DFA. The Red Raiders in full desperation mode now, so much so that they're flying out of bounds. The Red Raiders keep it in though. ASU looking to end it, and Noemi Glover ices it. The Sun Devil star ends the game. Sun Devil sweep 3-0. Here's JJ Van Niel after the crucial win.
I think this is pretty common throughout, I don't know, every year I've been in college. This is the time when I think you got to be really cognizant as a coach of it's not necessarily the physical weariness, but kind of the mental fatigue. So we try to shorten up some practices this week and keep them fresh, and that'll kind of continue through the rest of the season.
The maroon and gold on the court have appeared to steamroll through much of their 2025 season, at least on face value. But even after steering the ship back to its course on Wednesday at DFA, JJ Van Niel looks to have his ladies maintain their consistency at every level of the game as the home stretch of their season begins. So with that in mind, it's only fitting that we bring in our Andrew Montana, who is live for us outside of Desert Financial Arena. Andrew, I bet you're enjoying the great weather out there in Tempe. But after taking the gump punch that they took last week in Ames, ASU returned home and took care of Texas Tech basically with ease, as if there was no setback to begin with. So what were the keys to the Devils getting back on track?
Yeah, well, first off, speaking of the weather, we just missed out on golden hour. It's just cresting over the garage at this point. But for Arizona State's defeat against Texas Tech, it was nothing short of dominance. In the first set, Texas Tech was held to just 6 points, which was absolutely a remarkable defense by Arizona State. And speaking of ASU's defensive dominance, it held the Red Raiders to a hitting percentage of 0. And a big reason why was because of ASU's ability to take care of blocking at the net. 17 blocks, 8 of which came at the helm of Ella Lomigora. Great defensive effort. But on the offensive side, Noemi Glover, Bailey Miller, multiple kills on that end. But all in all, this was really just a much needed victory for Arizona State, especially with that last match loss at Iowa State, an absolute upset of a loss. You were expecting to take that one home. And additionally, that was ASU's first conference loss since losing to Baylor last September.
Yeah, long time between those two defeats. But more importantly, when it comes to tonight, Andrew, the number 21 BYU Cougars are coming into Tempe, and they're looking to probably get some payback after what was an incredible game in Provo nearly a month ago. So what can the Sun Devils expect this time around from the blue and white to once again establish their dominance in this conference?
Yeah, so that match, like you mentioned, 3 weeks ago, actually in Provo, ASU took care of business against BYU when the Cougars were actually 19th ranked in the nation. That one went the whole entire distance, 5 sets. ASU had to claw back in the final 2 sets to walk away victorious. But again, I'm sounding like a broken record at this point. Noemi Glover, 19 kills on the match, led the way for Arizona State. And speaking of Noemi Glover, an AVCA semifinalist for Player of the Year. So huge congratulations to her. Some other things, though, to take note of for tonight. 6-2 against ranked opponents ASU is, which of course BYU is 21st. 10-1 against conference opponents, and last but not least, 4 consecutive match victories against BYU. So with all of that in mind, I don't see any reason why ASU loses this one tonight against the BYU Cougars right here in Desert Financial Arena.
Well, Andrew, the first thing I want you to do is take a breath. Breathe easy. Now you can head back inside Desert Financial Arena as we are just about 90 minutes from the first serve between the Cougars and the Sun Devils just after 7 p.m. Arizona time. Thank you again for all of your analysis.
If Sun Devil volleyball coach JJ Van Niel lost his next 60 games, his career record would still be above 500. In his 3 years as the man in charge for the Maroon and Gold, Van Niel has spearheaded Arizona State's rise from the rubble of 3 straight losing seasons to newfound national prominence. For more on how Van Niel was able to revamp ASU's culture, here's our Isabella Rosette.
Years ago, Arizona State volleyball was not at the center of the national conversation, but the arrival of head coach JJ Van Niel in 2023 marked a program shift. In each of the past 3 seasons, ASU has amassed a record of 18-2 through its first 20 matches, now sitting at 19-3 over 22 matches. In his first season in Tempe, Van Niel led the Sun Devils to a 26-6 regular season record and a Sweet 16 appearance. That year included 2 sweeps over third-ranked Stanford and number 5 Oregon. He was named Pac-12 and AVCA Region Coach of the Year. That momentum carried into 2024. Arizona State won its first conference championship in program history, finishing with a 29-2 regular season record and a 17-1 conference record. The Sun Devils also secured a top 10 win over number 8 Kansas and hosted the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament. 4 All-Americans, the best winning percentage in team history, and an undefeated regular season at home all arrived in year 2 of the Van Niel era. Now in 2025, Arizona State continues to cement itself amongst the top programs in the NCAA. The Sun Devils defeated second-ranked Penn State earlier in the season and have tacked on 5 more ranked wins since. In his short tenure, Van Niel is the fastest coach in program history to 50 wins. For Van Niel and the Sun Devils, these upsets are no longer surprises. They are the standard. For Cronkite Sports, Isabella Rizet.
Thanks so much, Isabella. But from sports in Tempe that are ongoing to the first one that has concluded, as Sun Devil soccer season came to an end after dropping 4 of its last 7 matches, finishing the season 10-5-4, and failing to qualify for the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City. But our Casey Smith, who has been covering the ladies at Sun Devil Soccer Stadium all fall long, is in studio to break down exactly how Graham Winkworth's squad just couldn't keep up with the competition down the stretch.
Well, if we go back just a month, things looked completely different for Sun Devil Soccer. Through the first 10 games of the year, they were undefeated behind their scorching hot offense. The Sun Devils managed 2.2 goals per game by dominating the wide areas of the field. Fast forward to the last 9 games, and it's a completely different story. The offense collapsed as ASU managed only 8 goals in 9 matches and ended the year by being shut out in the Territorial Cup. This begs the question, what happened? How did ASU soccer go from a searing hot offense to looking stuck in the mud? Let's take a look at the film and go find out. First, we're going to go to the very first game of the year against Texas State to look at this offense. Right off the rip, the Sun Devils are going to win the ball in the middle of the pitch and get this offense going. They look to get out into these wide areas of the field. When you give your best players space, time, and options, good things happen. First, it's Cameron Valadares as she spots Sierra Bergen with enough space between the sticks to make a play. She puts it in, Bergen finishes it off, and that's a goal for the Sun Devils. This is how they made their money, but not only can these playmakers pass, they can also do it on their own. Next up, it's going to be Bergen, who has a great ball into Baltadano. Baltadano calls her own number, and she puts it into the back of the net. This is how the Sun Devils had such a prolific offense with playing out wide. Let's go look at an example in Tucson of how the Sun Devils weren't able to do this. If ASU loses or ties this game, its season is over. They need a goal. Peyton Marcis wins the ball in the middle of the pitch. She carries it forward, and she has multiple options here. You can't really go wrong, but we know that the Sun Devils love to play it out wide, so she'll give that pass to Valadares. It's not a bad idea, but the ball is just way too heavy. Valadares has to scramble to it, and she doesn't have time, options, or space. She's lucky to even just get this ball through, but Thomason can't really do anything with it, and the Sun Devils just squandered their best chance of the entire game, ending their season. See, soccer is a difficult sport, and if a team converted every single chance, well, that would be one incredible squad. However, it wasn't just this one chance, or this one game, but the entire back half of the season where these same chances were failed. Now, ASU soccer is left with one thing, the offseason. Graham Winkworth and his Sun Devils will have to wait until 2026 to prove that they can score again.
Thanks, Casey. Let's head over to the pool now. You might remember ASU Swim and Dive's dual meet last month that shattered the previous attendance record with a little bit of help from Uncommon Professor, a W.P. Carey School of Business professor at ASU. Well, now Uncommon Professor wants to run it back, offering business students extra credit to show up to ASU's blackout meet against USC this Saturday. And it's safe to say, if last time was any indicator, then we'll have an electric environment at Mona Plummer on the forecast for this Saturday.
Now, quickly shifting from the pool to the mat, normally on this program we cover everything in the current world of ASU athletics, while occasionally discussing its history and its impending future. But in the case of one recent ASU alumni outside of Sun Devil athletics completely, his story to success in the octagon and the courtroom may certainly raise some eyebrows. For more, here's our Caleb Harris.
The most educated Pricing!
My name is Alex Pricing. I am a practicing attorney and a professional fighter. Our goal is to become the most educated man in UFC history.
Pricing graduated from ASU Sandra Day O'Connor College of Law in May. This month, he made his professional debut in Phoenix. In the process, he became the first American ever to be a practicing attorney and professional MMA fighter at the same time. In less than half a round, he defeated his opponent Sean Winland by submission. After using his ground and pound to pass the guard, he found the darce to earn the tap. He continues to impress fans and his teammates alike.
Yeah, I mean, the dude is smart as hell, works, comes to the gym, trains full time. He's very skilled, and he's got a bright future.
I mean, I'm just excited to pursue two things I love. I'm a fighter. As a lawyer, I do post-conviction relief, so we work to get innocent people out of prison. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm fighting in the room.
Pricing's work inside the ring attracts thousands of fans, but it's his job outside of it that changes lives. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Caleb Harris.
As ASU's winter sports season begins to ramp up, we're only one sleep away from ASU Wrestling's return to the mat. Things will look a little different for this Sun Devil squad this season, so for what to expect from the maroon and gold as they enter year 12 of the Zeke Jones era, here's our Will Anderson with the season preview.
State Wrestling comes into the 2025-2026 season looking to shake off the down year it had last year. The Sun Devils went just 4-11 in duels last season, finishing 11th in their inaugural Big 12 campaign. It won't be easy, as ASU is not returning an All-American this year and is only returning 4 national qualifiers, 2 of which being transfers. One of those transfers is graduate heavyweight David Zuba. Zuba comes to ASU after 4 years at Rider University, where he went 68-37, including a 12-1 junior season that ended with a MAC championship and an opening round victory in the NCAA championships. The 2 qualifiers returning to ASU are junior Nico Ruiz and graduate Kale Valencia. Ruiz, who was recently ranked number 13 in Flow Wrestling's 165-pound rankings to start the year, qualified for the NCAA championships in his first full season as a starter for the Sun Devils, finishing the year with a 14-8 record and leading the team in tech fall wins with 4. Winning isn't anything new for Ruiz, as he was a 2-time state champion in high school at St. John Bosco. Valencia qualified for the tournament in each of his first 2 seasons at ASU, but failed to qualify for a 3rd year in a row after moving up to 184 pounds. He plans to move back down to 174 for the upcoming season, where he competed at in his first 2 years. He is also the 3rd Valencia brother to come through ASU, following in the footsteps of Sun Devil legends Zaid and Anthony Valencia. 12th year head coach Zeke Jones will have his squad ready for the new year this Saturday, as the Sun Devils will compete in the Michigan State Open in East Lansing. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Will Anderson.
Time for the Turf's top plays of the month of November, and we head back to the heartland of America as Rocco Beck ran out of time. And I'm not sure if Justin Wiley was entirely aware, Brooks, that there was going to be a Michael Jackson trailer dropping this week, but he certainly saw those dance moves following that big-time sack and aim.
Yeah, Zippy, that trailer was dope, but let's head over to DFA. Women's hoops for number 4, Marley Washington with the dagger 3 to get ASU its first win of the Molly Miller era. Look at her hyping up the Sun Devil crowd there. Great energy all night.
Absolutely, and in number 3, we head to the cold, chilly environment in Ohio as Arizona State is tied 1-1 with the Redhawks, but a massive goal from Sean McGurn puts the Devils back in front. Much needed offensive possession for sure.
Back to the hardwood for number 2, Mo Odom picks up the loose ball, and look at the big fella Masamba Jop running the floor coast to coast, and then the jelly roll. I was unfamiliar with your game, big fella, but now doing traditional big man things with the powerful throwdown just before halftime. Zippy, his draft stock is on the rise.
3-5's got potential for sure, but number 1, of course, had to be the only play that could be number 1, and that's number 2, putting the team on his back, win the rain, coming down, and Arizona State, of course, captured the victory 24-19. Jeff Sims running for more yards than any ASU quarterback has ever run for in a single game. But that's going to do it for us for a awesome action-packed filled edition of Cronkite Sports Live. Brooks, obviously this was the bye week. We were able to kind of rest easy, no practice. Kenny Dillingham basically was like, hey guys, you can have the week off. It's all good. But obviously, what are you going to try to do to enjoy the weekend, man? This is like our last little break before the really final 3-game stretch.
I mean, dude, a lot of people, when Kenny Dillingham says players have the week off, they forget that means reporters have the week off too. I got to cancel my alarms. I went up to Flagstaff last weekend. It was a lot of fun, but we'll get back into the swing of things with the grind next week.
Hey, I'm heading to Flagstaff tomorrow, so that's a pretty good idea on your part. But hey, we're getting back to the grind next week, of course. ASU football back in action, taking on West Virginia, of course, early morning kick. But for everyone who makes this show possible, our executive producer, Ronan Haycoop, our director, Jason Teeter, and for the Sacktown native, Jacob Brooks, my name is Max Cepeda, and we will see you next week for another edition of Cronkite Sports Live.